Hello, welcome to another lab from Network Academy Online. My name is Norwin Phillips and I'll be your instructor for today. Today we will be looking at configuring IPv4 static and default routes. We will be leveraging the topology that you're seeing here, and I'll be walking you through the process. I have actually created this lab in Packet Tracer. I haven't done any config yet, but I've created the lab objective and I've put it on the workspace along with the IP addresses and the devices that I'm going to be using. So let's jump right in. All right, first we'll go through and we'll configure router 1. So as objective 1 states, we'll set up the topology and initialize devices. That's done. Configure basic device settings and verify connectivity. And part 3, we're going to be configuring static routes, and we will test reachability and etc. So if we go to the command line on the router, we're going to walk through configuring the router. So config T, and we're going to change the names. In this case, I'm going to be using router 1, R1, and the point-to-point between router 1 and router 2, if you notice, we're using a crossover cable, because for like devices, you need to use a crossover cable. For unlike devices, you could use a straight-through cable. And we'll go over that in other courses if you haven't seen those courses yet. So let's get into gigabit interface 0/0 on router 1. And we're going to configure the IP address as 192.168.12.1.255.255.255.0, and we're going to do a no shut to bring the interface online. When I do WR, as you see here, that's just saving the config in case my router restarts. I won't lose any config setting, right? I'm going to go in gigabit 01, which is the interface connecting to the switch. I'll be configuring the IP address /24. I'm sorry, not a Nexus. All right, no shut. And we notice that that's coming online. And I will go to the PC and I will configure. So notice, go to the PC, click on desktop, click on IP, and I go 10.10.1.10. Subnet mask is 255.255.255.0. And the default gateway, which is very important, we will put it in as 10.10.1.1. Notice the default gateway that I'm using. That's the IP address that's configured on the router. So I'm telling the PC, hey, if you're trying to get to a destination, you cannot reach it by broadcast. Drop it off to your default gateway. Your default gateway will know how to get you there. All right. So we've configured that, and we could actually test functionality and reachability from here. So if I go to my PC and I look at my IPs, I do IP config, I'll see that I've configured 10.10.1.10, and I could now also try to ping my own IP. And that should work as long as it's configured properly. And I'll ping the IP of the gateway, which is 10.10.1.1. And as long as it's working, it's configured properly, it should work, right? All right, so let's see if I made some error here somewhere, because I am not sure why it's not working. So let's take a look here and see what happens. What has happened here? So it's gigabit 0.1. Notice guys, I actually fat fingered something. So I typed in 10.10.5.1. It should be IP address 10.10.1.1, 255.255.255.0. I'm sure some of you guys must have been looking at the video and say, hey, you're typing in it wrong, but I wasn't able to hear you. So there you go. So once I do that and I go back and I try to ping, notice I'm able to ping my IP address now. All right, I'm going to go to router 2, and in router 2, I'm going to go to command line and I walk through the process the same way. config T, host name, router 2. I'm going to configure gigabit 0/0 for the point-to-point. So it's 192.168.12.255.255.255.252. I think on router 1 I typed the wrong subnet mask. It will still work, but I just want to be consistent based on the topology. It's 255.255.255.252 for the 4/30. So let's go back over here and look at our router. If we look at do show run and I go down, yes, I actually typed /24 instead of /30. We can correct that easily. Interface gigabit 0/0, IP address 192.168.12.1, 255.255.255.252, and we're good. So now from this router, notice guys, if you notice I'm doing right? And I do 192.168.12.1, it's pinging myself, 12.2, I'll ping the other side. That's router 2, and it's pinging, and I can also ping my workstation, which is 10.10.1.10, and I'm pinging my workstation. Notice I proceed the ping with do. If I am in the enable mode, I do not need to proceed it with a do, but any other mode that I'm in, I will have to proceed it with a do for it to work. Okay, just wanted to bring that to you. So I just saved my config. Jumping back over to router 2. So on router 2, we're going to configure the interface that leads to the LAN. That's gigabit 0/1. We're going to say IP address is 10.10.2.1, 255.255.255.0. No shot. Bring the interface up. And let me go down to my workstation here. And I'll configure my interface IP, which is 10.10.2.10, subnet mask 255.255.255.0, and it's 10.10.2.1. And if I were to go here, voila, I could look at my IP settings, and I see here 10.10.2.10, and I can ping myself. That's working. And I could also ping gateway, and that's working. So I could also ping the point-to-point link on the gateway. So if I were to go here and ping 192.168.12.2, right, I can ping it because I am on PC B right now. Look at where my mouse is. I'm able to ping gigabit 1, which is on the LAN side, and on the point-to-point link, I'm able to ping this interface. However, what if I pinged .1, which is over here on router 1? Will it work? The answer is no, because, right, it will not work because router 1 does not know how to get back to the 10.10.2 network, right? So is the ping reaching? Is the ping getting to the other side? The answer is yes, but it doesn't know how to come back. I can show that to you. Let's get into router 1, and we're going to do a debug and say debug IP packets. You have to be very careful with doing debugs like this in a production environment because it could totally bring down your network, right? But for the purpose of this lab, let me bring the debug up so we could take a look at that. So if I bring router 1 up and I bring my workstation up. So let's look at topology again. We're on PCB right now. Notice if I ping the point-to-point interface that is actually in router 2, and that is 192.168.12.2, it replies. If I ping .1, however, it's not going to reply. We checked it here and we realized that it didn't reply. So now we're going to look at the router at the far end and see what happens. We know what's happening. The packet is getting there, but it doesn't know how to come back because we could take a look at this router by doing show IP route, and there's no reference for 10.10.2.0. It doesn't know how to get to that network, right? So if I were to do that, it says, hey, I see your packet coming in, but I don't know how to get back. It's telling me, hey, it's unroutable. I don't know how to get back, man. So that's what router one is saying. So to fix that, what we're going to have to do right now, we're going to have to go on router one, and we're going to say, hey, Mr. Router one, that's doing IP route. You know what? Let me turn the debug off first. Do you all, right? Sorry. Control Z. You all, turn the debug off. Go back in global config mode. And I'm going to say, hey, to get to 10.10.2.0 with a subnet mask of 255.255.0, I want you to drop it off to the other router, my next hop router, which is router 2. So the next hop router is 192.168.12.2. And it's saying, hey, to get back here. So now if I go and I do the same ping that wasn't working before, it is now replying because it now knows how to get back over there. So that's just added in my static route. That's all I did just now. Add my static route in. And if I go back and I look at the routing table, so again, show IP route, notice we will see that it now knows how to get to 10.10.2.0/24 network. It's saying, hey, if you want to get to 10.10.2.0 network, you have to drop it off to the next hop router if we reference the topology 192.168.12.2, right? So now, if we were to go, all right, if we were to go, so now if I go to this workstation over here, and I said, okay, I'm on workstation A right now. Let's look at the topology again. I'm on PC A, and I'm saying I'm trying to ping from PC A now. And PC A, I'm trying to ping 10. 10? Oh, what's going on here? Ping 10.10.2.1. 2 pings, that doesn't work. So ping 10.10.2.1, it doesn't work either. So notice from PCA, which is right here, I'm trying to ping up through my switch across my router, across the router 2, and I'm trying to get down here to this interface, and it's not working. It's saying, man, I don't know how, I'm not getting any reply. I can get there, but it doesn't know how to reply to me. And I could go back and I could say, well, let me try pinging the point-to-point link, 192.168.12.2. Same thing happens. Router 2 is receiving the ping, but it doesn't know how to come back. Right? But where are the pings originating from? The pings are actually getting originated from the 10.10.1 network. Right? So if we take a look at router 2, let's go and look at router 2. Let's look at router 2. Hey, Mr. Router 2, show me your routing table. So that's what we're looking at. Router 2 doesn't know how to get back to the 10.10.1.0.24 network. So to fix that little problem there, we have to go in and we're going to say, hey, Mr. Router 2, if you're trying to get to a network with 10.10.1.0 with a subnet mask of 255.255.0, I want you to drop it off to 168.12.1. And once we do that, voila, now it's working. We can go back up and we ping the 10.10.2.1 that wasn't working before, and we can also ping the PC. Right? So, very simple but powerful lab. Right? We were able to configure all our devices. We're able to configure static route, and we could also now configure our default route, and we're going to walk you through that. All right, so I did pause the video for a minute there because what I wanted to do, I wanted to cover all the objectives. All right, so while we did complete the static route, notice we did not complete the default route. Right, so I drew here a representation of a loopback 0 that I'm going to create on router 2 to simulate a faraway network, and in that way we'll be able to test the concept of a default route. So now let's get back to router 2 here. We're going to go in the global config mode. We're going to create a loopback interface. So a loopback interface is a virtual interface. It doesn't physically exist. It logically exists. Okay, so it's going to be interface loopback 0, and the IP address that we decided that we're going to configure on it is 8.8.8.8, and the subnet mask is 255.255.255.255. Right. So if we again take a look at the routing table on router 2 by doing show IP, you know what? Let me get back to the enabled mode. Is Control Z takes you there. Show IP route. Notice it's telling us that there's an 8.8.8.8 network. Right? Can I ping it? Yes. From this router, I should be able to ping it. Right? Let me go down to PC1 from not PC1, but PCB. Can I ping it? Yes, I'm able to ping it because I'm connected. That loopback is actually created on router 2, which in essence is the default gateway of PCB. However, if I were to go over to PCA and go to the command prompt, well, 8.8.8.8, can I ping it? It says destination unreachable. So destination unreachable pretty much is telling me, hey, router 2, which is my default gateway, doesn't know how to get to it. Not router 2 rather, but router 1, which is PCA's default gateway, doesn't know how to get over there. So let's jump down here in router 1 and take a look. If I go to router 1 and I do show IP route, oh, it doesn't mention anything about 8.8.8. And notice there's no gateway of last resource set, right? So to get that corrected, that's where your default route comes in. The default route is going to say, hey, Mr. Router 1, if you're trying to get to any destination that's not explicitly listed in your routing table, doesn't matter what it is, right? Regardless of the IP address, regardless of the subnet mask, that's what the zeros are for. Please drop it off to 192.168.12.2. Once we do that, notice now this starts to work because it says, hey, 8.8.8.8, I don't explicitly have it in my routing table. Let's look at the routing table again. Show IP route. It's not explicitly listed in here. However, there's a default route note here. It's denoted by the S, right? That's showing that it is a static route, right? And what it is now, it's a catch-all. So it's saying here, the gateway of last resort. If you don't find the network that you're looking for explicitly listed in your routing table, please drop it off to this router. This router will know how to get there. So now, with that said, we're now able to ping 8.8.8. If we were to go over to router 2 and decided that, hey, we're going to create another loopback. This time we're going to call it, loopback 1. Interface loopback 1. And we're going to say IP address 4.2.2.2 with a subnet mask of 255.255.255.0. Notice I will not have to do anything else. If I come back to PCA, I won't have to do anything else. I can just ping 4.2.2.2. Voila, it's working. Because again, that's a catch-all. So it doesn't have to be explicitly listed in here. All right. So in this video, we actually, completed setting up the topology and initializing all the network devices. We configure all the basic settings. That is, we were able to set up an IP address on all interface, all the PCs. We tested reachability. We were able to set up static routes, and we also did our default route. I hope you found this video to be very informative for you. I don't want you to leave comments in the blog section of our website, And if you have any questions and or concern, you can also feel free to reach out to us at the email found on the website. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.